Okay, so let's talk Viessa. So the only Transcendent mod you'll want to use is called Absolute Zero. What this does is it makes her skill passive to be called Absolute Zero, and it increases your base critical hit rate by 20%. Why this is important is if you look at our skill info, 96% crit rate. If I take this off, 41%. So it more than doubles your critical hit rate. It is amazing. And then it changes all your skills to singular as well. So Viessa has an insane modifier on her skills. So if you look at the modifier on this one, it's 1,500, and then the burst damage at the end is almost 3,000 modifier. So it doesn't matter that we're reducing the skill power modifier with these two. You could switch this back to regular range if you want. I just wanted a little bit like 1% more range with maximized range. And then what we are doing is skill power is the only thing that affects her basically, unless you have an insane amount of modifier. So this is her damage mod. Viessa's skills have an insane amount of cooldown. So if you look at the cooldown on this, it's 60 seconds at base. This one is 20 seconds at base. So we just want to decrease the cooldown as much as possible. So we are doing MP conversion, nimble fingers, focus on chill, and then on the reactor as a substat, you're gonna have skill cooldown, and then the hunter 2 set has skill cooldown, and then on Arche Tuning there is enhanced skill cooldown. So all these help reduce the cooldown, and it makes it this only has an 8-second cooldown on your 4 and a 3-second cooldown on your 3. So it's you really want as much cooldown as possible. So Viessa guzzles down MP like crazy. So we are doing maximized conservation and MP collector to help with our MP, and then ascending has a skill cost reduction, and then Arche Tuning has skill cost reduction too, and then it makes this cost like nothing to spam all your skills. What your 1 does is it shoots a projectile. What your 2 does is it increases your speed by 40% and makes a trail which enemies get damaged by. So you can just run around enemies in lower level content and kill them. And then what your 3 does is it just shoots a blast of ice. So all the enemies that get in that range are dead. And then the 4 makes a blizzard that does ticks of millions of damage. It does like 7 ticks at base, and then it explodes at like double the damage. So it basically does like 8 ticks of damage. Okay, so let's go over her reactor and components. For the reactor, you want singularity because absolute zero changes all your skills to singular. So you want, as a substat on this, you want skill critical hit damage and cooldown. She scales on crit damage, and cooldown is just so you can spam her skills more. And then for the components, I'm using 2-piece ascending, 2-piece hunter, because I like as much MP as possible. You could swap the ascending for plague and get like 5% more damage. I'm going to talk about the Slayer set in a little bit. And then on the substats you want on like any is max HP, and then MP recovery on the luxury power. Then you want max MP, and then MP recovery in combat on the sensor. And then on the memory you want defense, and then you would preferably have the MP recovery modifier on this. And then it doesn't matter what you have on the processor. Let's go over Arche Tuning. So the reason we're going the routes we're going, you want cooldown, and then she scales on critical hit damage, and so crit rate and damage, and then duration, that's to make her 4 go up longer, and then HP, so you don't die as fast, and then MP recovery out of combat, and then skill cost, and then skill effect range, and then I'm just going this route. And then you could take off the 2 duration, 2 HP, and this MP recovery out of combat to get, it's like a 23rd increase in your damage, so you could go for it. Let's go over guns. So you could use Secret Garden for a sprint boost. It's basically just be a stat stick. And then you would definitely need the last dagger for damage at the boss. So you can take him down. It'd just take like double as long as if you didn't have the last dagger. So you want chill attack, firearm attack, 2 cores, 1 fire rate core, and then 1 round per magazine core. And then for the substats on the last dagger, you'd want firearm attack, critical hit rate, crit damage, and then weak point damage if you can. And then on the last dagger, you just want to aim for heads and weak points. And then you would just want to focus the last dagger on crit damage, weak point, fire rate, damage, and then mag size, and then an element. So if you want to go for the Slayer set, then you want to go for the record. So this Slayer set increases your skill cost by 15%, and it makes it where you do 26% more damage. So basically a fourth more damage. And then what the skills you want to do is it makes it where your HP gets so low that you can one shot by like any enemy. So there's like no point building for HP. So what we want to do is if you want to get the high speed runs of like the top guys on the leaderboard, you're going to want to go for chill skill power and then focus on singular for more cooldown. It caps out your cooldown almost. And then you want to go for all the MP rolls on the Slayer set. So MP recovery out of combat, MP max MP, MP recovery in combat, MP recovery modifier. You want to go for all those, and you're still going to be running around searching for MP. It's going to be painful, but that's how they get the top records. You know, it's basically glass cannon, no hit runs. So you want to press your 2 to get 40% speed. I kind of forgot to do that the rest of the run. And you just want to spam your 3 and 4 as much as possible, and then your 1 when you get the chance. And then you just want to try shooting them on the head with the spare time. With the last dagger, because the last dagger does tons of damage. Anyway, that's how I do it. Please leave a like, comment what you do differently, any better ways to do this. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.